There's a video game store, not quite local, not quite far from my home, that sells all the classics. The store is aptly named Video Games, and sells all eras of gaming, depending on local trade-ins. My friend and I go there, and sometimes, while we're looking for something new and interesting, I try to find something I haven't heard of. One of those games is Maken X. I passed it by a few times, actually. The name, didn't really stand out to me. The cover is just two people clashing their swords against each other. But then I read the back of the box.
Maken Deus Ex Machina.
Also, the Deus Ex Machina doesn't show up in the title. A little odd. But then Maken X is an odd game. I read on the back of the box, it read, "You are Maken X, a supernatural sword." There's more text on there, but once I discovered that you play as a sword in a hack and slash game, it was something I had to try. What I found was surprising. The way that you play the game, from the point of view to the snappy controls, Maken X was a lot better than I expected, especially after this long-winded introduction. For the purposes of this little video, though, let's take a look at just the first couple levels of Maken X. Now, because I am not very creative, I'm just going to call myself Machina. That sounds like the standard Dreamcast select noise.
Not too bad for an artificial brain.
Say it like you mean it.
Wow, there's an underground facility at the lab.
They didn't have enough money for lip sync of any kind.
Yeah, that's Maken.
Now,
Has it been awakened yet?
in this game, you technically you play as the sword, but you play as the sword controlling people. So, on a functional level, you're ultimately playing as the character. It's just the story level. You're playing as this thing.
Well, we haven't implanted its psi yet. Its form is there, but its mind is empty.
I know. Well, that's why we're giving it a mind.
But why would you give it a mind? Have you seen the thing?
Transferring the psi of a human to its artificial brain. After receiving the stimulus, Maken will build up its own world of psi. As a result, Maken will become a mindful entity with its own self.
You've been studying, haven't you?
Like, Maken looks like some sort of weird cartoon creature taken from something else. So,
Why is Kay's tutor here?
Well, that's because Fei Chao has the gene that is required to wake Maken up.
Don't you think Faye's amazing? He's so cool.
Yeah.
Father, can I take a closer look?
Sure, go ahead.
This is the first awakening experiment ever. Are you scared?
No, I believe in your father.
like, it's not just the casting that seems kind of weird. Like, the actual recording process seems to be pretty poor in general. Like, this person's voice recording seems oddly done. I don't know what's coming out of its top. It has chosen form of sword.
What? What's going on?
Also, sound effects were expensive too.
No!
Follow the blood agreement, and you will protect everyone. Take the sword.
But I mean, if you're only going to hire somebody to do like 2 lines for this game, that is very surprising that it's actually even been localized. You don't spring for the best. And thusly, you enter the mind of the sword, entering the mind of the person holding the sword. Now, this is a globe-trotting adventure. Obviously, starting in Japan. Let's head over to Kanazawa. Your body status. Right now, I only have 1 body, per se, but you can collect other bodies to join your ranks via brainjacking. And then you got this little handy-dandy stage description. Kind of reminds me of old Castlevania games. But the goal is to get to the heliport and stop whoever killed your father. Now, what I did not expect was this to be a first-person game. Which, like, if I was going to make a game in which you play as the sword versus the individual, then I probably wouldn't have a main character. The camera would be always focused on the sword, and you could switch bodies at whim. Also, there's a lock-on mode. So we're going to lock onto this enemy and do some strafing around it. You got a dodge maneuver, which is very useful. You also, I believe, have the ability to leap over it. Yep. So you got a lot of really nice movement options, which is something I did not expect, and it's very smooth. I mean, it's not really like it's that taxing a game. Like, there's only this one guy on the screen. There really aren't that many particles or anything for the hardware to figure out. But, like, I just assume it's a Dreamcast game. It's only got so much potential. Oh, there we go. There we go. And then you can rank each body up, increasing their abilities. Ah. Now I believe it automatically blocks. Nope, it does not. There we go. Oh, it blocks when I move backward. There we go. Don't worry, I'm gonna find a health pickup and get my health back that I lost from. Yep, move to vault over an enemy, which is a pretty nifty ability. You don't really see it too often in first-person games, let alone games that happen to have this kind of like Z targeting. Now, it takes a lot of those little experience orbs to rank up your character. That is the long game. Now, there's also a long-range weapon. Whoop. Ah! Now, I don't believe you have the ability to strafe, which is the main difficulty. Oh, nope. You can strafe. Free look. There we go. So a lot of the game is just spent in regards to positioning, dodging attacks. Very almost Zelda-esque from a first-person perspective, which is cool. And I forget what this is. It's just a big health pickup. I just wish I could make it brighter. I'm the guy that, like, when it comes to setting up the brightness on the television, I usually set it for brighter than it requests. Yep. Because I enjoy being able to see the game I'm playing. And then this is basically the pace of the game. You enter a new area, you beat the bad guys, you keep going. Ooh, was that a counterattack? Like a parry and counter? Ah, damn it. Let's head up this way. There we go. I missed that one. What does this do? It changes the music. That is all it does. Yep. Now I remember special moves, but I could be horribly wrong. Yep, that's a nice parry counterattack. Knocks out an enemy that normally took 3 hits in 1. I have no idea why I'm fighting an ice skater for some reason. And I'm not sure why blocking only seemed to work on one attack, but... Ah, good old elevators. Health. Ah! That's how you do it. I keep wanting to, like, change the direction of my movement, but I really should just... I really should just, I think, tap. There we yeah. Or I'll just kill this guy. There's a little bit of timing there. And you also got some backstab damage going on too, so it's like a basic melee game. You just got one button to attack. You got your lock on, your jump. My B button doesn't seem to do anything yet. But it's got some things going on for it. D-pad doesn't do anything. And I believe the first boss is here. Yep. Looks strangely Russian. Does some weird pirouette move. And he's done for. Now, I believe you do get to take his body. And thusly, he becomes one of the multiple brains you can brain jack, so to speak.
Oh, Father.
There she was, fallen into the abyss.
I don't believe it! Sai is actually bonding to the sword.
I've never seen data like this. It's unprecedented.
Is Kay alright? Well, it's not that simple. You see, Kay's and Maken's minds coexist in Maken's artificial brain.
So their minds coexist in the sword, and the sword is controlling the body.
Sai bond like this. The chief's the only one I know who might be able to save Kay.
Are you saying her mind will stay inside Maken forever? Well? You invented the damn thing, didn't you? Do something!
So, is Maken awake yet?
What is it this time?
Mr. Lee.
And this guy just walked off the set of Dragon Ball?
I see. It's all clear to me now. That's why Sagami's daughter woke Maken up. We know their plan's already in motion. We need to get going right now.
Who's he? He sponsors this lab. Other than that, beats me.
Oh, he pays our salaries, but I don't know who he is.
What's this all about?
Sorry, there's nothing you need to know.
What the? We nearly lost our lives.
Maken has godlike powers that allow him to destroy minds in the world of Sai. Its creation was essential to our plans. It's important for us to have his power over Sai to destroy them.
Also, the subtitles seem to be missing a lot of the actual dialogue.
I refer to those who would lead this world to destruction. Yet it is the work of one mind, the devil's.
Devil's work? Oh, sure. You've convinced me.
Terrorism, pestilence, poverty, pollution, worldwide oil shortage.
Oh, you weren't
There
expecting
are even
global
plans to use
politics
China and the
in a
US
story about
to
a
start World War III.
mind-controlling
And
sword.
all this is being done by someone
Or
who
maybe
has
you
the
were.
ability to control human minds.
Are you saying the world will be destroyed because of one person?
It's not important what
They didn't have time to
it's
animate.
the truth. Quickly, their plan is already in motion. If we want to have even the slightest chance of success, we must leave now.
Yeah, there are a lot of words the subtitles don't really bother writing down.
Medical device in psychiatry is actually a weapon. I can't believe we jumped into this so blindly.
Also, at one point, did somebody say that this was supposed to be a device with psychiatry?
Maken, you know your duty. We created you with one purpose in mind. The reason they kidnapped Sagami was to gain access to his knowledge of the world of Sai. So, are you willing to pursue them in order to stop this mad conspiracy?
Part of me is wondering what happens if I say no.
So you refuse my request.
But Kay's Sai is inside of Maken's artificial brain. If anything happens to Maken, who knows what'll happen to Kay?
I will...
Oh, nothing happens. Now, I believe later on there are choices you can make that actually do have an effect, both on the levels you go to along with the direction of the story.
But my father, he's in so much danger. I don't have a choice. I'm going to rescue him. You don't need to worry about me. If I say I'm going, I'm going.
Then fight for us and the world. It is your duty.
Although,
Nothing else.
like when you're advertising a game like this, how do you showcase, like, who's the main character? Is it Kay? Is it Maken? Is it the sword? Is it the entity? Is it Sai? Like, how do you get people interested in
Allows you to control
that sort of thing?
along with their body is called a brain jack. This is the godlike power that you possess, Maken.
And suddenly there's a whole bunch of camera cuts for no reason. Okay, the non-sword version of Maken is just, it's too much. But it's interesting that it becomes a different weapon depending on whose body it controls.
She's still bound to Maken, isn't she?
Yes, I think she is.
Maken, extract that man's memory. Once you do, you can find out where they took the chief. Remember, it's all up to you to get him. Do you understand me? Maken, now that you know where the chief's located, go to Russia through China. If you stop at Hong Kong, you can meet Fei's sister. Otherwise, another Blade Master awaits you in Moscow. You should follow the Blade Master's instructions when you meet them at your destination. There are many enemies that will try to stop you. Don't give up, and you'll find a clear path through them. When you gain enough strength, you'll be able to brainjack people with your godlike powers.
They seem to emphasize Maken's godlike powers a lot. its godlike powers to control individual people individually. And I believe the next level is actually just on this plane. So we're going to play through that, see through the end of that level, and then call it a day. Ah, look at that hideous monster lounging comfortably in business class.
So this is the psi dimension. The world of souls existing in a plane beyond reality. That explains why my mind has left my body, and I live as psi. Well, my father told me I have nothing to worry about. Yes, nothing at all. Well, here we are. I haven't introduced myself. Oh, that's a nice name.
Except now there's
Tsunami.
lip syncing.
I'm 16 years old, and I attend Jusei High School.
And there's a different recording studio for these
My mother
lines.
died right after I was born. You see, well, that's why my father was always around. So I wouldn't feel lonely. I really respect him. One day, I want to be a scientist and help work on the Psi Project. Well, that's another story. I guess I'm a little anxious. I talk a lot when I get nervous. Sorry.
Also,
Something's coming
is it
towards
just me, or does it look like she doesn't have any whites in her eyes? Like it's the same color as her skin. And why does the plane look like a dolphin?
Sir, you have our thanks for flying the deadly skies and, by the way, prepare to die. How could you be so daft? Of course this is a trap. You're too high up, sweetheart. You're not going anywhere.
And now I'll put on this weird mask. Ah, Savalode. And then you got the level again. Just a fairly linear level this time. Other levels trying to kind of open up, but they tend to be more like labyrinthine type structure is probably the most complex. There really isn't like an open world where you just wander around. Now, since you're traveling alone, the question that you might be asking is, how do you bring the other bodies with you? And the answer to that question is magic. Now, the items. And see, you got the it just looks weird playing as this character because you got that tongue sticking out there. Because I believe that's his long-range weapon. And whatever that hand is on the left, ooh. Ah, that did not work. Oh, that worked better than I expected. Ah, somebody hit me. Ah, health. Excellent. Now I forget how to use the long-range weapon, or whether they actually show you. Ah! Also, this is quite the spacious plane, with more walking room than seating room. That's how you know you're living in the lap of luxury. When you're flying on a plane that has limited room for passengers. Oh. And you got a little warning, tell you if bad guys are sneaking up on you. That's very useful there. Ah, health. And I can't see anything.
There should be an emergency pod here somewhere.
No, because K is still in the mind of. But this character is largely stronger than K's body. I'll need to figure out some sort of way up to him. That was very awkward. Let's see. And I think I see a health thing over there. But this isn't, like, this game doesn't intend to be a platformer game. These platforms are not meant to be jumped to.
Looks like there's someone over there.
But first, you must fight the ninjas. See, I'm playing a little bit lousy and loose because, not because I suck, but I know there's a health pickup there. And another health pickup? Yeah, sure, why not?
Is he a pilot?
Yeah. I forgot there might be characters you could brainjack in the middle of levels. And they all get their unique melee weapon. And watch? You know, it's convenient you happen to find a pilot to Brainjack right before jumping into this missile plane thing?
Okay, let's go. Everything should be fixed.
Looks like the spare lines are good to go. Now we can access the central terminal. By the way, do you know what's the deal with Mr. Lee?
He's some old fart who thinks he's the modern messiah.
Oh yeah, just some old fart.
He's got a lot of contacts.
Here's something I bet you don't know. His company isn't legitimate.
That person in the background appears to have no face.
My mind. Besides, I don't care what they do, as long as I get paid.
Or at the very least, a face of such low resolution.
Too illegal.
Don't be such a prude, Anne.
Well, why Kay? Not Kay, though. This is horrible. If something happens to the chief, will she be like this forever?
Don't worry about Kay. We'll do something. Just calm down.
Also, what happens to the other brains that the sword brainjacks?
Why don't we just
Are those other people inside the sword along with Kay?
Oh man, Plan X wasn't really just a simple medical device, was it?
Also,
We created a living weapon. This thing destroys human minds.
what did they think they were making? What medical condition was Maken supposed to cure? I mean, you look at it when it's not turned on, and it has teeth.
A coincidence?
Maybe Sagami used
You admitted that if you input psi into it, it would choose its own form.
Experimenting on his own daughter. Who is this guy? But I guess Faye was supposed to wake up Maken.
Why wouldn't he tell us that Kay was his model?
I guess he didn't think it was necessary.
There's no
Such mystery.
This is all purely speculation.
We may find something if we look at the original specifications.
You know, those are classified, Anne.
Aren't you curious?
Okay, he already called her a prude for not wanting to participate in criminal activity, but then suddenly she's like, "Hey, let's look at classified material." Oh, that's above my pay grade.
Wise man never courts danger.
Kay is a human being. We need to do something to help
A
her.
wise man never courts his daughter. That's that's an ancient saying, I guess.
Shouldn't know. Now I know how Adam must have felt.
As Eve, I'd have no regrets. Let's get access to the data.
I hope there's something in there that'll be useful to my career.
All right, nice landing. You're a pretty good pilot. I'm supposed to take another flight to Moscow from here. But you know, I think we're being followed. How about we go to another city? We better board the plane from there. What's that? Oh, I really don't have time to...
Ah, it's an urban ice
Why
skater.
don't you go ahead and decide how we're getting to
Or-
Moscow?
Roller skater. I don't know if it has enough texture on there to determine which is which. So that was a quick look at Maken Deus Ex Machina. I think it's an interesting game. I've played a little bit farther than this, and eventually kind of becomes a pain in the butt. Or maybe I'm just awful. But it's weird, but it's got more going on than I expected. So long.